What if the universe could end without any warning? No explosion, no countdown. Just a bubble expanding at the speed of light, erasing everything in its path. As terrifying as it sounds, modern physics says this scenario may actually be possible. It is called false vacuum decay. According to quantum field theory, the universe may not be in its most stable state. Instead, everything we know could exist in a temporary state, a false vacuum, quietly waiting for a transition to a lower energy reality. If that happened, a tiny bubble of true vacuum would suddenly appear somewhere in the cosmos. It would expand at nearly the speed of light, rewriting the laws of physics as it traveled. Atoms would not survive, stars would not survive, even the forces that hold matter together could change instantly. The most unsettling part, because the bubble moves at the speed of light, we would never see it coming. By the time its light reached us, it would already be here. Fortunately, there is no evidence that vacuum decay is about to happen. But if our universe really is living in a false vacuum, the greatest threat to reality may already exist, silently waiting somewhere beyond the edge of the observable universe. Hold that last sentence. Do not treat it like a movie trailer and move on. If the threat can sit beyond what we can see, then calm skies prove almost nothing. Calm skies are exactly what you expect. While a bubble is still outside your past light cone, the absence of fireworks is not a certificate of safety. It is the default weather of a universe that has not been overwritten yet. Now ask what the word vacuum is even doing in this nightmare. In everyday speech, vacuum means empty. In quantum field theory, vacuum means the lowest energy configuration a field wants to settle into, a background state that defines what particles are, what masses they carry, and how forces behave. Empty-looking space can still be a packed stage of fields, sitting in a particular valley of possibility. Change the valley, and you change the stage. Change the stage, and chemistry as we know it can die. Picture a ball resting in a dip on a hillside of energy. Around the dip, walls rise. Farther away, a deeper valley waits. If the ball has only a little energy, it stays trapped in the higher dip for a very long time. That higher dip is a false vacuum, stable enough to feel permanent, not stable enough to be forever. The deeper valley is the true vacuum. The ball's escape is the decay. The universe we live in may be that ball, and the dip may be the electroweak vacuum that built atoms, stars, and you. Metastability is the name for that trap. Metastable state can last longer than civilizations, longer than stars, longer than the current age of the cosmos as we measure it, and still not be the final resting place of the fields. Classical intuition says if you are at the bottom of a local valley, you stay. Quantum intuition says you can tunnel through a barrier you could not climb. Tunneling is rare when the barrier is high and thick. Rare is not never. Never is the word people want. Physics rarely offers never. Sidney Coleman, working through the late 1970s into around 1980, with collaborators including Callan and later DeLucia on gravity, helped turn this from metaphor into a calculable process. The decay does not flip the whole universe at once like a light switch. It begins locally. Bubble of true vacuum nucleates, a small region where the fields have already rolled or tunneled into the deeper valley. Whether that bubble lives or dies depends on a brutal competition. The competition is between volume and surface. Inside the bubble, converting false vacuum into true vacuum releases energy. That gain grows with the bubble's volume. The wall of the bubble costs energy, because the fields must climb or stretch across the barrier between valleys. That cost grows with the wall's area. Small bubbles are all wall and little volume, so they tend to collapse. Bubbles past a critical size tip the balance. Volume wins, the wall rushes outward. Expansion accelerates toward the speed of light. That critical bubble is the seed of the end. Once the wall races outward near light speed, the causal structure becomes the horror. No signal can outrun the wall. Light from the approaching front arrives with the front. There is no early warning glow on the horizon that you can flee. There is no telescope that buys you years. By the time the light of the bubble reaches your eyes, the bubble has reached your eyes. That is not a poetic exaggeration. That is what light speed expansion means for warning. What does the wall do as it passes? It does not merely crush matter like a shockwave from an ordinary explosion. It rewrites the background that defines matter. Particle masses can change, coupling strengths can change. The familiar menu of electrons, protons, and neutrons can cease to be the right menu. Chemistry depends on that menu. Biology depends on chemistry. Stars depend on nuclear balances tuned to the same background. If the true vacuum is hostile to our particles, then atoms do not survive in any sense you would recognize. Stars do not survive. You do not survive. The rewrite is the weapon. Coleman and De Lucia also asked what gravity does to this picture. Gravity can change the shape of the bounce, the Euclidean solution that estimates how hard tunneling is, and can change the fate inside the bubble. In some pictures, the interior is not a cozy new cosmos you could move into. It can be gravitationally catastrophic, collapsing in ways that make the nucleation incompatible with the simple fact that we are still here talking. The details are technical. The narrative point is not. Vacuum decay is not a gentle renovation. It is a phased transition of reality's operating system. With gravity invited to the meeting, why did this leave pure speculation and enter public dread? Because the standard model, after the Higgs boson was found and its mass measured, can be extrapolated to enormous energies in a way that often makes our electrowave vacuum look metastable rather than absolutely stable. The Higgs field is not a side character. It is part of the machinery that gives many particles mass. If the effective potential for that field has a deeper minimum far away in field space, then our valley may be the higher dip. The ball may already be sitting where false vacuum decay talks about sitting. That extrapolation is not a photograph of destiny. It depends on measured parameters, especially the Higgs mass and the top quark mass, and on the assumption that no new physics arrives to reshape the potential before the dangerous region shifts those numbers slightly, and the story can move from metastable toward stable, or toward more fragile. Unknown particles, unknown forces, unknown thresholds can rescue the vacuum or doom it faster. The honest sentence is conditional. If the standard model continues roughly as written to extreme scales, metastability becomes a live option. If nature inserts new structure, the option can change. Lifetime under those extrapolations are often estimated to be vastly longer than the time since the Big Bang. Vastly longer is comforting in a shallow way. It means there is no evidence that decay is scheduled for next Tuesday. It does not mean the process is forbidden. A universe that lasts 1,000,000 times longer than its current age before tunneling is still a universe that can tunnel. Deep time does not care about human calendars. The bubble does not need a reason that feels fair. There is also the question of how the early universe treated this vacuum. High temperatures, inflationary stretching, and violent fluctuations can push fields around in ways today's cold cosmos does not. Some eras might have made decay easier. Some might have made our survival already a selection effect. We find ourselves in a pocket that did not die because the dead pockets leave no observers. That line of thought brushes against anthropic reasoning and inflationary multiverse talk. Stay careful. One corridor only. The point is that cosmic history can load or unload the gun without today's sky looking different. Seeds and impurities enter as another corridor of unease. In ordinary phase transitions, dirt and defects help new phases nucleate. In gravity, researchers have asked whether black holes or other inhomogeneities can lower the barrier for vacuum decay compared with a perfect empty false vacuum. Some calculations suggest enhancement is possible in ranges of parameters. Enhancement is not a forecast of imminent doom. It is a reminder that idealized Coleman bubbles in perfectly smooth space may understate how creative a messy cosmos can be at finding ways to tunnel. Honesty requires saying the idea is active research, not settled countdown. What would count as evidence that decay is about to happen? Almost nothing gentle. A bubble already inside our past light cone would already have destroyed us, so we are not waiting for a news alert that the front is visible on approach. Evidence would be indirect and theoretical. Better measurements that deepen the metastability, discoveries that remove rescue physics, or cosmological clues that our vacuum is temporary. Absence of those is why the opening said, "Fortunately, there is no evidence. It is about to happen." Fortunate is not the same as proven eternal. Proven eternal may be unavailable in principle. Absolute stability is a strong claim about the entire potential of all fields at all scales. Science rarely delivers absolute. It delivers confidence intervals, model dependence, and lifetimes so long that worry becomes philosophical rather than practical. Philosophical worry still matters for all. Practical calendars can stay calm while the mind still feels the itch of a temporary reality. Feel the itch in human scale. You wake up, the room looks solid, constants feel like furniture. False vacuum decay says the furniture might be rented, the lease might be longer than galaxies, and still a lease. That does not mean you should live in panic. Panic is the wrong instrument for a process that, if standard model extrapolations hold in the kind of way, will not interrupt your lifetime, your children's lifetimes, or likely the lifetime of the sun. Panic is the wrong instrument. Understanding is what lasts. Understanding also blocks a different mistake. Treating every cosmic end scenario as the same story. Heat death is slow dilution. Big Rip, in some dark energy nightmares, is a tearing of bound systems in the far future. Vacuum decay is a sudden rewrite racing at light speed from a nucleation point. Different physics, different emotional shape. This telling stays inside the sudden rewrite. Stacking every apocalypse into one soup is how literacy Ds. Return to the bubble wall and slow it down in your imagination, even though physics will not. Head of the wall, our vacuum, our chemistry, our star. Behind the wall, another vacuum, another chemistry or none, another gravitational fate. On the wall, enormous energy concentrated in a thin, expanding domain. You cannot outrun it, you cannot bargain with it, you can only note that it has not arrived in our past. Not arriving yet is the entire empirical fact we have. Not arriving yet is also why the opening's final turn works. The greatest threat to reality may already exist, silently waiting somewhere beyond the edge of the observable universe. Beyond the edge does not mean mystical outside, it means outside the sphere of events that could already have affected us. Space can be larger than what light has had time to cross since the beginning of our observable patch. Nucleation far enough away has not reached us. It might never reach us if space expands in ways that outpace the wall in some cosmologies. Another technical fog. Or it might be racing toward a future observer who does not exist yet. The point is simpler. Distance plus light speed can hide an ongoing apocalypse from you until the last possible moment, which is also the first moment you notice. Quantum tunneling rates are usually quoted as a probability per unit time per unit volume. That phrasing matters. The larger the volume, the more places a bubble might try to appear. Huge cosmos has more lottery tickets for catastrophe, even if each ticket is almost blank. Eternal or near-eternal inflation scenarios multiply volume beyond imagination. Again, one careful corridor. Bigger volume can mean more chances without meaning high chances in our neighborhood tomorrow. The math of rarity and the math of volume wrestle. Popular talk often reports only the scare. Honest talk reports the wrestle. What about creating a bubble in a laboratory? For the Higgs scale metastability story under usual estimates, the energies and conditions required are absurdly beyond human reach, and the probability remains negligible in any practical sense. Sci-fi accelerators destroying the world make good fiction and bad risk analysis for this particular channel of doom. Natural nucleation over cosmic volumes and cosmic times is the serious discussion. Human hands are not the protagonist here. Fields and probability are. Till the psychological hook of laboratory doom reveals something useful. People understand local causes. Vacuum decay's real terror is non-local patience, a random nucleation anywhere in a vast space, then a wall you cannot see coming. Randomness plus light speed plus rewritten physics is a triad ordinary disasters do not share. Earthquakes warn with geology. Asteroids can be tracked. This threat, if live, tracks you only by arriving. Sidney Coleman's tone in the old papers was not theatrical. It was dry, precise, and occasionally darkly funny about ecological catastrophe of a new vacuum. That dryness is worth copying in spirit. The idea does not need screamers. It needs the ball in the higher valley, the critical bubble, the wall at light speed, the receipt that our parameters might place us in the metastable dip, and the caveat that parameters and new physics can move the story. Dry plus clear beats loud plus mush. Mush would say the universe could explode any second. Clear says tunneling is suppressed by a huge action in the usual estimates, so lifetimes can dwarf cosmic age, while still allowing a non-zero rate, while still depending on measurements that keep shifting slightly as experiments improve. Mush would say scientists know we are doomed. Clear says some extrapolations favor metastability, debates continue, and absolute claims are suspect. Mush would show a CGI bubble with a soundtrack. Clear would admit we have never seen one, and hope we never do. If a bubble of true vacuum has already nucleated far away, are there survivors ahead of the wall who still think the cosmos is fine? Yes, until their light cone meets the wall. Entire galactic civilizations could, in principle, live out ages of art and science between nucleation and arrival. If the nucleation is distant enough and expansion histories cooperate, that sentence is not comfort, it is causal structure. Comfort would be a proof of absolute stability. We do not have that proof. What would absolute stability look like? Theoretic, a potential without a vacuum as the global minimum, no deeper hole accessible by tunneling or thermal hopping. Under any conditions the cosmos will see. Getting that guarantee across all field directions and all coupled physics is an enormous ask. Effective theories are local tools. They shine inside their domain. They fade when extrapolated without humility. Metastability talk lives at the edge of humility, where the standard model is pushed towards scales where quantum gravity and unknown sectors may not stay silent. Quantum gravity is the door you should not pretend to open fully here. Planck scale physics could change the potential, change tunneling, change whether the deeper minimum even exists as imagined. Saying so is not an escape hatch for every fear. It is a boundary on confidence. The false vacuum story is powerful because it can be told with quantum field theory tools we partly trust. It becomes weaker as a prophecy when those tools are forced past their warranty. Hold both. Serious enough to teach, uncertain enough not to preach dates. Teach it as a phased transition of the vacuum, cousin in spirit to boiling and to early universe symmetry breaking, but with a quantum tunneling spark and a light speed front. Boiling you can hear, symmetry breaking in the early universe you infer from leftovers and theory. Vacuum decay of our current vacuum you hope remains inference forever. Hope is allowed. Hope is not a calculation. Calculations currently often buy long hope. Long hope is the fortunate part of the opening. Return to the opening image without soft focus. No explosion, no countdown. A bubble. Light speed, erasure. Temporary state, lower energy reality. Any bubble. Rewritten laws. Tom's gone, stars gone, forces changed. Never see it coming. Light arrives with the wall. No evidence it is about to happen. Greatest threat may be already waiting beyond the observable edge. That is the spine in seed form. Everything between was the seed grown into rooms. Room 1. Vacuum is a field state, not empty nothing. Room 2. False versus true. Metastability. Tunneling. Room 3. Critical bubble. Wall versus volume. Room 4. Lightspeed front. No warning. Room 5. Rewrite of physics inside. Room 6. Coleman to DeLucia. Room 7. Higgs metastability and parameter dependence. Room 8. Long lifetimes. Non-zero rates. Volume lottery. Room 9. Seeds. Early universe. Humility before quantum gravity. Room 10. Evidence limits and the open edge of the sky. Linear. No threat. Deepened. If you only remember one mechanism sentence, take this. Our universe may sit in a metastable false vacuum. Critical true vacuum bubble could nucleate and expand near light speed, destroying the physics that makes us possible, with no advanced view because light cannot outrun the wall. If you only remember one honesty sentence, take this. There is no evidence that such a decay is imminent, and many estimates place the lifetime far beyond the current age of the cosmos. But absolute safety is not what the equations hand us. The emotional residue should be awe, not panic. The feeling that reality has layers beneath furniture. Solid constants. Constants may be valley choices. Alley choices can, in principle, change. That thought rearranges how you look at empty night sky. Empty may be waiting. Waiting may be patient beyond all human meaning. Patient threads are hard for human nerves to hold. This one earns attention because the patience is part of the physics, not a writer trick. Could the bubble already exist beyond the edge? Yes. As a possibility consistent with causal structure, must it? No. Could new physics save the vacuum? Yes. Could better measurements deepen the danger in theory space? Yes. Could the standard model extrapolation be misleading? Yes. The branching stays inside one story. Temporary vacuum versus true vacuum. Bubble or no bubble. Now or unimaginably later or never in practice. Never in practice is not the same as forbidden. Forbidden is the word we do not own. Stand under a clear night and try the thought experiment carefully. Every star you see sits in the same vacuum state you do. As far as we know, every distant galaxy too. If a bubble is approaching from far enough away, those stars still shine for you until they do not. And when they do not, you do not see the not coming early. The sky looks eternal because light speed lies about safety, the same way it lies about warning. The lie is geometry. Geometry is why the unsettling part of the opening is not rhetoric. Fortunately, keep the word. There is no evidence. Vacuum decay is about to happen. Live your life. Bold your plans. Study the Higgs potential anyway, because precision is how we learn whether the ball sits in a safe valley or a rented one. Curiosity is the right response. Dread without calculation is noise. Calculation without humility is noise too. Curiosity with both is the tone, and if our universe really is living in a false vacuum, then the greatest threat to reality may already exist, silently waiting somewhere beyond the edge of the observable universe, or it may never nucleate within any span that matters to anything we will ever know. Both sentences can be true together in the only way that matters. Possible, not scheduled. Possibility is the itch. Schedule would be the scream. We have the itch. We do not have the scream. Keep it that way in practice. Keep understanding the itch in theory. What if the universe could end without any warning? You now know the name of the scenario, the shape of the bubble, the reason for the blindness, the link to fields, and possibly the Higgs, the comfort of long-estimated lifetimes, and the discomfort of non-zero rates in a vast cosmos. No explosion, no countdown. Just a maybe that modern physics refuses to dismiss. That refusal is the story. Slow down on the word field, because everything after those first lines hangs on it. Field is not a force field fence from a movie. It is a value defined at every point in space, a background that can sit still, ripple, or settle into a preferred number. Particles are excitations of fields. Masses and forces are properties of how those fields interact while sitting near a chosen background. The vacuum is the chosen background. When popular talk says empty space, physicists hear settled fields. Settled is the key. Settled can mean settled into the wrong valley. Wrong valley is easier to feel with the second metaphor beside the ball. Imagine a landscape of hills in a fog so thick you only know the ground under your feet. You stand in a basin that feels like the bottom of the world. You build cities there. You raise children there. You measure constants there and call them eternal. Miles away in the fog, unseen. A deeper basin exists. You never visit it because the ridge between you is high and the fog hides the drop. Quantum tunneling is a ghost path through the ridge, raw, silent. Then, if a critical bubble forms, the deeper basin comes to you as a wall you cannot refute. How do fields have landscapes at all? Because the energy of a field configuration depends on the field's value in complicated ways. Once interactions turn on, self-interactions, couplings to other fields, quantum corrections that change with energy scale, all of it sculpts an effective potential. Classical textbooks sometimes draw a simple U-shape with one bottom. Reality can draw a W, or a roll with a cliff, or a shallow local pocket beside a chasm. The Standard Model's Higgs sector, when extrapolated with quantum corrections, is famous for threatening a chasm at enormous field values. That threat is the technical root of modern false vacuum dread. Quantum corrections matter because the vacuum is not decided only by tree-level cartoon loops. Virtual fluctuations feed back into the shape of the potential. Heavy particles pull harder on that feedback. That is why the top quark's mass is so loud in metastability plots. Slightly heavier or lighter top can slide the extrapolated vacuum from apparently metastable towards stabler or more fragile regions. Experimental precision is not trivia here. It is the difference between a rented valley and owned one in theory space. After the Higgs boson's discovery in 2012, and with steadily refined mass measurements for the Higgs and the top, many analyses placed our vacuum in the metastable region of parameter space under standard model assumptions. Metastable here means long-lived enough that the universe's current age is not surprising, yet not absolutely stable. Newspapers translated that into end-of-the-world headline. The papers themselves were usually calmer. Here is a contour plot. Here is a lifetime estimate under these assumptions. Here is how new physics could change everything. Calm contour plots do not trend. Light speed bubbles do. Both belong in a serious narration if you keep them in order. Mechanism first. Headlines never. Order also means separating thermal hopping from quantum tunneling. At high temperature, a system can sometimes climb a barrier classically. If there is enough thermal energy in the early hot universe, that channel can matter. Today, in the cold cosmos, tunneling dominates the imagination for our vacuum's future. The early universe had to navigate whatever dangers existed then without destroying the vacuum we now inhabit, or anthropically, we would not be here to notice. Surviving reheating and cooling is part of why some researchers study vacuum stability across cosmic history, rather than only at zero temperature. The gun can be loaded in the past, even if it sits quiet now. Quiet now is enforced by a brutal observational fact. We are here. Our past light cone has not been overrun by a true vacuum wall. Therefore, no lethal bubble has nucleated inside the region of space-time that could already have reached us. That sounds trivial until you feel it. It carves a forbidden zone for past nucleations. It says nothing about nucleations outside that zone. It says nothing about the future. Empiricism gives a green light for the past local patch. Theory still argues about the lease. The race between cosmic expansion and the bubble wall is another technical fork worth one clean corridor. In some accelerating cosmologies, sufficiently distant bubbles might never catch certain world lines. In others, arrival is only a matter of time once nucleation happens in range. The details depend on expansion history and nucleation distance. Popular tellings often skip this and claim universal inevitable doom after any nucleation anywhere. Skip less. Say the causal threat is real for bubbles that can reach you. Say cosmic expansion can complicate the map. Keep the scare precise. Precise scare also includes what would not happen. Vacuum decay is not a slow dimming of stars over millennia as a wall creeps visibly across constellations. It is not a heat wave you feel days early. It is not a negotiation. If a lethal bubble reaches your location, the local physics rewrite is effectively immediate on human timescales once the war arrives. Immediate is why warning failed. Immediate is why the opening's most unsettling part is also its most physically grounded part. Grounded does not mean we have measured a bubble. We have measured particles and couplings that feed a potential extrapolation. The bubble is the consequence of that extrapolation, plus quantum field theory's tunneling technology. Consequence chains are how theoretical threats enter culture. Consequence chains can break if a link is wrong. The links to watch are the shape of the potential at huge field values, and the absence of rescue physics. Break either link and the nightmare softens. Confirm both and the nightmare hardens as theory, not as schedule. Scheduler obsession is the failure mode. People ask when. Calculators answer with lifetimes that look like science fiction numbers, spoken in words, far longer than the time since the Big Bang. Sometimes longer than absurd stacks of cosmic ages. While still finite in the model, finite plus enormous is hard for human fear to hold. Fear wants next year. Cosmology offers maybe after a time so long that protons in other theories might already be a memory. Holding both the non-zero rate and the enormous time is adult. Collapsing both into any second now is childish scaremongering. Scare stories also love accelerator doomsday. For this vacuum story under ordinary estimates, that love is misplaced. Creating a critical true vacuum bubble by human artifice would require controlling field configurations at scales and volumes that make collider collisions look like polite taps. Speculative new physics could always invent exotic risks worth studying case by case. The baseline false vacuum narrative does not need a laboratory villain. It needs a cosmos large enough and old enough for rare events to remain thinkable. Thinkable rare events invite a condensed matter cousin that helps intuition without leaving the spine. In laboratories, physicists can build systems with metastable phases and watch bubbles of a true phase nucleate and grow. Tiny analog worlds where false vacuum language becomes tabletop. Those experiments do not prove our cosmos will decay. They prove the metaphor is not empty poetry. Metastability, critical bubbles, and expanding walls are behaviors nature already knows how to perform in other substrates. Cosmology asks whether spacetime's fields are one more substrate sitting in a rented valley. Rented valley returns us two constants as furniture: the electron's mass, the strength of electromagnetism, the bonding of chemistry. Furniture. Vacuum decay says furniture can be valley dependent. New vacuum can mean new furniture or no furniture that supports atoms. Some true vacua in toy models might allow different complex structures. Some would be sterile. Coleman and DeLucia's gravitational discussions often make the interior sound like nowhere you would want to vacation. Terribly or collapsing interiors are why this is framed as destruction rather than relocation. You do not move into the bubble deletes your operating system. Deletion at light speed creates a moral illusion of unfairness. At least an asteroid gives a movie, at least a dying sun gives mythic twilight. Vacuum decay gives a shrug from probability. Unfairness is not an argument against a mechanism, it is an emotional reaction to a mechanism that ignores narrative satisfaction. Science communication that pretends the universe owes a soundtrack is lying. Science communication that names the shrug is telling the truth more cleanly than fake soundtracks, because the shrug itself is sticky. Sticky questions remain. Is our vacuum metastable under the best current numbers? Often yes, in standard model extrapolations. With ongoing debate as measurements tighten, is the lifetime long compared with the age of the universe? Often yes, under those same extrapolations. Could new physics stabilize us? Yes. Could black holes or other seeds change rates? Possibly. In research scenario, has a bubble already formed beyond our horizon, unknown and possibly forever unobservable until arrival, which would be too late? That list is the honest dashboard. No single lamp flashes imminent. Imminent was ruled out in the opening on purpose. Fortunately, there is no evidence that vacuum decay is about to happen. Keep that sentence glued to every scare image. Then keep the next sentence glued too. But if we live in a false vacuum, the threat may already exist beyond the observable edge. Together, they teach the right fear, not panic clocks. Existential architecture. Architecture can be sound for ages and still be temporary. Temporary architecture is the deepest awe this topic offers. We should also include how strange it is that we can talk about this at all. We are using quantum field theory, a toolkit built for particle collisions and precision magnets, to ask whether empty-looking space is a ticking metaphysical lease. The toolkit was not invented for online dread. It stumbled into dread when the Higgs mass landed near values that make extrapolation dramatic. Stumbled dread is more interesting than designed dread. Designed dread is marketing. Stumbled dread is what happens when measurement meets math. Measurement meets math every time a better top mass or Higgs mass arrives. Watch how public moods swing when a central value shifts a contour from metastable towards stable. That swing reveals the fragility of the nightmare as prophecy and the strength of the nightmare as conditional. Conditional threats are still worth teaching. They train you to hear parameters as destiny levers. Destiny levers are rare in everyday life. Here, a decimal in a particle mass can redraw whether the ball sits above a chasm. Decimals aside, because the spoken script refuses digits. Speak in relation. Hevia tops tend to deepen danger in many plots. Higgs mass in its measured neighborhood sits near interesting borderlands. Borderlands mean the conclusion is Sensitivity means humility. Humility means you do not tattoo a decay date on your arm. You do track the theory, track one more corridor. What observers far from a new creation would see if somehow they could receive signals faster than light, they cannot, so the thought experiment fails. Usefully, it teaches that some cosmic events are invisible by construction, until they cease to be events and become your new reality. Black holes hide interiors, vacuum walls hide their approach, different hidings. Summer lesson: the universe does not owe you a preview. Preview culture is modern, physics is not. Coleman, writing about vacuum decay, did not optimize for applause. He optimized for Euclidean actions and a bounce solution. The bounce is the mathematical object that estimates tunneling difficulty, a solution in imaginary time that interpolates between vacua. You do not need to compute one to understand the story. You need to know that rarity is exponential in an action, and exponential rarity is how a process can be allowed and still be practically absent across cosmic ages. Exponential is the quiet hero of our safety under standard estimates. Safety under standard estimates can lull. Lull is dangerous only if it becomes dogma. Dogma says we checked, we are fine forever. Science says we checked within a model, we look fine for a very long time. We keep checking as models and measurements evolve. Forever is theology. Very long time is physics. The openings fortunately lives in very long time. The openings silently waiting lives in allowed non-zero rates and vast space. Both clauses earn vast space also reframes lonely. Nucleation in a distant void does not need an audience. It does not need a star. It needs volume and time and a metastable field. The universe can end locally for someone, while elsewhere art continues. That patchwork ending is more disturbing than a synchronized finale. Synchronized finales feel like stories. Patchwork endings feel like statistic. This topic is statistics wearing a bubble's face. Face the bubble once more as a physical object. Critical radius, expanding wall, energy liberated from converting vacuum feeding the wall's motion, interior converting to a new phase, exterior still false until the wall arrives. No soft edge where you feel weird for a week. The transition is sharp on human scales. Sharpness plus light speed plus lethal interior equals the Arasha language in the opening. Erasure is not metaphor when chemistry Ds. Chemistry Ds if the electron mass or electromagnetic strength shifts enough to wreck atoms, or if quarks no longer bind into the protons and neutrons we need, or if new vacuum expectation values rewrite the particle zoo. Exact microphysics inside a true vacuum depends on the potential's true minimum, something we have not visited. Hostility is expected in many discussions because our chemistry looks finely perched on current parameters. Perched is another word for fragile. Fragile life in a metastable vacuum is a nested fragility. Nested fragility is good storytelling without leaving the spine. Nested fragility is also why advanced civilizations cannot casually escape this, the way they might escape a dying star. Dyson sphere does not help. Generation ship does not help if the wall expands at light speed across the distances ships crawl. Leaving the planet does not leave the vacuum. The vacuum is the ocean every ship swims in. Only a deeper misunderstanding would treat vacuum decay like weather you outrun with altitude. You outrun weather vertically. You do not outrun your ocean by sailing farther into the same ocean. Semi-ocean, some false vacuum, is the solidarity of the observable universe. Everything we see shares our phase. As far as we know, that solidarity is beautiful and fragile. Beautiful because physics is uniform enough for science to work across galaxies. Fragile because uniformity means one lethal bubble type could, in principle, sweep a huge connected region. Uniformity is usually a comfort in cosmology. Here it doubles as a vulnerability. Vulnerability without schedule returns us to how to live with the idea. Do not freeze. Do not mock. Learn the mechanism, track the parameters, support precision measurement, enjoy the night sky without demanding it be eternal furniture. Eternity was always a human wish layered onto physics. Physics offers processes. Processes offer ends. This end is rarer and stranger than most. Rarity and strangeness are why it seized public imagination once the Higgs numbers lined up. Imagination amplify. Your job as a listener is to quiet panic and keep understanding. Final pass. Quantum fields settle into vacua. Our vacuum may be a false local minimum. Tunneling can nucleate a true vacuum bubble past critical size. The bubble expands near light speed. Warning fails because light cannot beat the wall. Interior physics can destroy atoms and stars. Gravity complicates interiors and rates. Higgs metastability under standard model extrapolation is why the scare is modern. Lifetimes often look enormous. Rates stay non-zero in the model. Volume and seeds can argue about enhancements. Evidence of imminence is absent. Threat beyond the observable edge remains a living possibility sentence, not a detection. That is the whole night. There is still one more way to feel the critical bubble without equation. Think of a raindrop that is too small. Surface tension crushes it back into nothing useful. Think of a drop. Past a threshold, growth becomes favorable. Vacuum bubbles rhyme with that competition, even though the forces are field energy and wall tension rather than water. Too small, collapse. Big enough, run away. Runaway in space-time is the wall racing toward light speed. Everyday phase changes whisper the logic. Cosmology shouts the consequence. Shouting aside, stay with energy release. When false vacuum converts to true vacuum, the energy difference has to go somewhere. Much of it can feed the wall's dynamics and particle production near the advancing front. The front is not a polite mathematical surface with no teeth. It can be a violent conversion zone. Violence is another reason. Survival through the wall is not on the menu. You are not gently relocated. You are processed by a phase boundary. Processed by a phase boundary sounds abstract until you remember that every atom in your hand is a negotiation among fields sitting in the current vacuum. Change the negotiation mid-sentence, and the hand is not a hand. Identity of objects depends on vacuum choice. That dependence is the deepest cut in this topic, and it still stays on the spine. What a thing is follows the valley. Change valleys, and the old things burn. Those things burn while clocks elsewhere still tick in the old vacuum. That desynchronized ending, some regions rewritten, some not yet, is allowed by relativity's speed limit. It is the patchwork catastrophe again. Stories like synchronized finales because they photograph well. Physics likes domains and fronts because that is how first-order transitions work. Prefer physics also when people ask whether we could detect precursor ripples for a light-speed lethal wall. Useful precursor warning is essentially a fantasy. For speculative softer transitions or different models, such strategies might exist. Stick to the standard nightmares rules when answering the opening question. Under those rules, warning fail. Under those rules, the unsettling part stands. Under those rules, what should a civilization do if it became convinced the vacuum was fragile on shorter timescales than expected? The honest answer is mostly improve the theory and the measurements, because engineering a global vacuum rescue is not a known technology. There is no vacuum thermostat on the shelf. Fantasy repairs, seeding stabilizing fields, building barriers, belong to speculation, not to today's labs. Capability space may someday include vacuum engineering. Today it includes vacuum worry and vacuum calculation. Do not confuse the two. Do not confuse either with heat death anxiety. Heat death is the long cold future under expanding space and increasing entropy in popular tellings. Vacuum decay can interrupt any such future early if a bubble arrived. Different clock, different mechanisms. If you feel pressure from both, fine, but keep their folders separate in your mind. Separate folders are literacy. Literacy check. Can you explain false vacuum without saying explosion? Can you explain the warning failure without saying magic? Can you explain metastability without saying doomed tomorrow? If yes, the night worked. If you still reach for explosion, countdown, and tomorrow, reopen the critical bubble room and the light speed room until the wrong words feel dishonest in your mouth. Dishonest words sell, honest words lodge. The opening you heard used honest scare. Possible, temporary, light speed. No evidence of imminence, maybe waiting beyond the edge. That package is stronger than a fake countdown because it can survive contact with a careful skeptic. Survival in contact is the quality bar. Contact with a careful skeptic might add jargon you skipped, bounce action, prefactor, renormalization group running, gauge dependence debates, operators suppressed near the Planck scale. Jargon is a deeper mine. This narration stayed at the public ledge of the mine on purpose. The ledge already holds enough to change how empty space feels. Empty space as rented valley is the souvenir. Take it into the last image, somewhere, perhaps far beyond what light has reached since the beginning of our observable patch. A tiny sphere of altered vacuum could exist, or could appear later, and begin to grow or not. The sky tonight does not tell you which. The equations, under popular extrapolations, tell you the not is favored for timescales we care about practically, while the could remains. Live inside the favored, understand the could. That balance is the end of the walk, the final bodily picture. You are standing on Earth. The vacuum of your atoms is the vacuum of the Andromeda Galaxy. As far as we know, shared phase wraps the visible cosmos like an invisible climate. Climate usually changes slowly. This climate changes if it changes by bubble nucleation. As a front, fronts do not send polite seasonal previews at light speed ahead of themselves when they themselves move at light speed. Shared climate plus front equals shared fate once the wall arrived. Shared fate is why the threat feels larger than a local disaster. Larger than a local disaster. Still smaller than a scheduled apocalypse. Scheduling would require a rate high enough to matter soon. Standard estimates usually refuse that gift to fear. Refusal is fortunate. Refusal is provisional. Provisional fortune is the adult emotional endpoint. Not numb, not frantic. Awake, wake enough to hear the opening again and feel every clause land. What if the universe could end without any warning possible? Bubble at light speed, mechanism, false vacuum, metastability, never see it coming, causality, fortunately not about to happen, evidence and lifetimes, waiting beyond the edge, open possibility. Landed clauses are the point of a long walk. Add one last corridor on time itself. The age of the universe is long compared with a human life, and short compared with many estimated vacuum lifetimes under kinder extrapolations. That sandwich is why you can care and still sleep. Caring without sleeping is panic. Sleeping without caring is numbness. The sandwich is the sane posture. Sane posture also accepts that tomorrow's measurement could shift contours, revised top mass. A surprise in Higgs couplings, a discovery of new particles. Any of these can redraw the valley map. Redrawing is not betrayal. Redrawing is science working. The bubble story remains a living conditional attached to living data. Living data includes what we do not see. No regions of anomalous constants marching across surveys. No unexplained spherical fronts chewing galaxies. Non-observation matches a universe that has not been overrun in our past light cone. On-observation is weak tea for proving forever. It is strong tea for ruling out recent local doom. Sip accordingly. Sip also the humility that quantum gravity may change the deep potential in ways effective field theory cannot foresee. Planck scale unknown is not a magic cancel button for every fear, and it is not irrelevant. It is a fog bank past which today's maps fade. Metastability claims that march confidently through that fog without disclaimer are overplaying their hand. Claims that refuse to speak before the fog are underplaying what the standard model already suggests. Speak with a disclaimer. Speak anyway. Speak the mechanism to a friend without notes. Fields, valley, false, minimum, tunnel, critical bubble, wall near light speed. No warning. Possible Higgs link. Long life maybe. Not forever proven. Maybe waiting beyond the edge. If the friend can repeat it, you carried the night well. If the friend only remembers the universe will explode, you carried a cartoon. Replace the cartoon with the bubble until the cartoon dies. Cartoons die hard because explosions are culturally fluent. Bubbles of vacuum are not. Fluency is trainable. Training takes time and repetition. When the opening is already sharp, the opening was sharp. The rooms had to match. Matching rooms were the work after the first 5 paragraphs you already heard. After the first 5 paragraphs, you walked through empty space as a settled field state, through landscapes and tunneling, through critical size and light speed walls, through rewritten chemistry, through Coleman and gravity, through Higgs era metastability, through lifetimes and volume lotteries, through seeds and early universe corridors, through evidence limits and living with a lease. Sam a threat the whole time, deepened, not stacked. Before those rooms close, keep one practical image for tomorrow morning: coffee, cup, table. All of it depends on a vacuum choice you never signed. The choice looks permanent because it has lasted longer than history. Longer than history is not the same as forever. Forever was never on the receipt. The receipt, if metastability holds, says temporary with a half-life too long to mark on a calendar. Temporary with an unmarked calendar is the strange piece this topic leaves behind. Strange piece is not indifference. Indifference ignores the bubble. Peace understands the bubble and still pours the coffee. Pouring coffee under a theoretical lease is what a grown mind does with rare cosmic risks. RAR is the keyword standard estimates keep handing back. RAR, not impossible. Impossible would let you forget. RAR makes you literate, and literacy is how you keep the awe without swallowing a fake countdown. Literate enough to refuse synchronized explosion talk. Literate enough to refuse laboratory end-of-world talk as the main plot. Literate enough to refuse forever safe talk as dogma. Literate enough to hold possible, light fast, not imminent, maybe far away, all at once. Holding all four is the skill. The opening handed you all four in under a minute. The long walk made sure you could still hold them at the end. Semi-threat, last breath. Temporary vacuum, true vacuum bubble, light speed inertia, blind approach, no imminence on the calendar, possible presence beyond the observable edge. Modern physics keeps the door cracked. Cracked doors are enough for all. Cracked doors are not the same as open graves under your feet tonight. Keep the difference clear in your chest. Keep the awe without apology. What if the universe could end without any warning? No explosion, no countdown, just a bubble expanding at the speed of light, erasing everything in its path. Modern physics says the scenario may be possible. It is called false vacuum decay. We may live in a temporary state. True vacuum bubble could rewrite the laws. We would never see it coming. Fortunately, nothing says it is about to happen, but if the vacuum is false, the greatest threat to reality may already be waiting beyond what we can see. Now you know why those lines were not empty scare. They were a compressed theory. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, keep looking up.